Alright, hello. I'm Johnny, and we will be re-inking some dice with this Plaid Folk Art Treasure Gold. Brilliant Metallic Luster Gold. Just gonna pick a side and start getting some paint down into the indentation of the numbers. I got a little over-eager last time I did this, so I'm just going to do one side at a time and we'll just rub it. Try to get the excess off. And set it down with the rest. Oops, what am I doing? Come back here. Ooh. This color, I'm not sure how well it's showing up on camera, but it's not just a solid swirl of gray. It's actually translucent or even transparent in gray. Let's start with this nat 20. Hold it firmly. Oh, maybe a little too firmly. Just trying to wipe off the excess. Trying a different setup. And I'm not broadcasting live with this one, but I'm not quite a fan of this setup because I've got a small tripod in front of me. Well, I'd love to, if it was in the budget, just pick up some Ray-Ban Stories video glasses. I think I'd rather, even if I had the money for them, hold off until we get something much closer to what Google Glass tried to promise. Just, ooh, nat 20. Because currently they're not quite where I would like the technology versus price to be. I think the price is about where it needs to be, but it needs to have a few more features or easier use of features or something. It's just not jiving with me. D8. The first time I was inking dice, I decided to start with the lowest number, except for in the case of a D4 like here, where you gotta pretty much do the whole side at once. Get down into the recesses. Let's get this out of the way since it keeps getting painted. My buddies had bought not Chessex pound of dice, but some other similar multi-dice set. So I noticed these ones were rather hard to read, so I figure I would ink them. But yeah, the first time I started with the number 1 and worked my way up, that way I could set aside the dice that you know, D6, get to 6, I can set it aside. D8, get the 8th one done, set it aside. I felt like progress, so maybe I should kind of go back to that. Oops. Actually get on screen, huh? I would just put the camera facing a little bit lower, but it's at that point where the weight of the phone versus the strength of the tripod, at least on that particular joint, doesn't want to work together. Did this one kind of early, so let's get this 8, I guess. Come on. There we go. Painting myself. Some of these gray ones had green numbering and some of them had gold, so just making them all uniform. That and neither of those colors were very visible, so here we go. The alts, or knots, depending on wiped all that up. We need to open this paper towel section up and get to some fresh. It might be a little smoother. I feel like I got one of those fancy cigarette extender holder things going on here. Bloop. 8. Hi, Arthur. Buddy's wife threw out her craft cart because it was too rickety, and so he snagged it up and brought it over here. All it required was tightening up the 4 Allen screws on each side, and no more wobble. In a bit here, I was going to do it already, but in a bit I'm going to run the drawers through the dishwasher on rinse to get the dust off before I put them in the cart and actually use them. Hi, I'm Morgana. Hi. What's up? If I don't pay attention to you, you get miffed. If I pay too much attention to you, you get miffed. And there really is no happy medium. You hear about the little person psychic who broke out of jail? There's a small medium at large. Here's a Garfield-esque joke for you. I'm not sure if it's already been done, but how are Mondays like sausage? Stay, paint, stay. How are Mondays like sausage? Because they're the worst. Like bratwurst. They're simply the worst. They're the opposite of Gillette, the best a man can get. A while ago, probably a few years at this point, I started adding second punchlines to jokes so you can reel them in and then leave them dead. So the classic joke of guy's car breaks down. He's got it at the mechanic. It's going to take a few hours to get things going. The guy's like, well, is there a bar nearby I can just go to? Like, sure, but it's a gay bar. I don't care. I just want to get a drink. Guy goes there, sitting at the bar, sipping his beer, minding his own business. Guys next to him are having a conversation. What's your dick's name? Gillette. The best a man can get. What's yours? Maxwell House. Good to the last drop. Hey Betty, what's your dick's name? Secret. Secret? Yeah, strong enough for a man but made for a woman. Bartender turns around. Don't you want to know my dick's name? It's Truth, because you can't handle the truth. There was much rejoicing. Previously, I may have leaned more into the homophobic version of the joke, but nope, it's just a dick joke. It's the fun, wholesome, quality content we have here on this channel. Speaking of things Pride related, we went to, we as in my buddy's wife and their daughters, to the Wadsworth book reading in the park. That was surrounded by groups of protesters because it just happens to be a drag performer, a man in a dress, reading stories to kids about tolerance and love is love. But there were literal Nazis there protesting. Groomed dogs, not kids. And I got into a little bit of a verbal altercation with them. One of the things I had asked is, why are you here instead of stopping the church that's been molesting children for the last 2,000 years? Well, that's just the gay priests. Okay, but why aren't you there stopping them? And the one guy had the audacity to say, well, at least they're not doing it in public. They have the decency of doing it behind closed doors. They're not doing it here in public. Excuse me? You entrust your kids to somebody's care, and that's what they're doing? At a place of worship? Each of the various groups had different color schemes. Proud Boys with their black and yellow. Some group with red shirts. One group with white helmets and blue shirts and white pants, I think it was. They looked like some ridiculous toy soldiers. And and they may or may not have been in the group with the signs and chants of Weimar conditions require Weimar solutions. It's like you realize the reason for the problems Germany was facing after the War to End All Wars Part 1 was because of their war debt, and they could have simply taxed the wealthier people and paid it off in a hurry. Instead, they inflated currency and taxed the heck out of the common person, who then felt dispossessed. So you're just preying on the same kind of fear and xenophobia that, we lost. And being worried about being bred out as white people. Like, it's just a lack of melanin. Nothing to be proud of. And a lot of y'all are darker than the people you don't like. Especially those of you who are roofers, siders, or other outdoor tradesmen like landscapers. With your burnt sienna tans. So if you're worried about melanin, you've got far more, and far more malignant of melanin, considering how much more likely yours is to be skin cancer. I'll deal with the extra stuff later. I don't think we've gotten through this one yet. Yes, leading up to World War II, the War to End All Wars Part 2, they were blaming Jewish people, homosexuals, gypsies, and the disabled, as well as however many other groups of people, for being a drain on society when they themselves weren't contributing to society. And while the wealthy were just sitting back in the same level of luxury they had before and during the war, while they sent people out to fight on their behalf. Why do they always send the poor? Got an alarm going off. Let's snooze that. I gotta go pick up my buddy here in a second. I just wanted to knock this out real quick. Oh. this? I don't think we did the 11. Somebody I was talking to was like, it doesn't have to make sense to them. In fact, the less sense it makes, the more likely they are to believe it, to embrace it, to run with it wholeheartedly. That's me paraphrasing and embellishing, but all in all, despite the protesters, the event itself was nice. Thanks to the organizers of the event and the performers and such, and people from all the way out of town. Like, not only were protesters here from out of town, but there were actually allies supporting from out of town. Come on. Well, the Sir Sick live stream has started, so I guess I'll listen to that in the car. Not like there's anything to watch because it's just some cool art on the screen, but it's not moving, so. Usually it's their avatars under a tree. Oh, come on, are we not? Got the 4. Ah! The 13. Come on, get into the recesses. And the 5. 5, 13. Are we missing any? Oh, the 12. We can touch up later. I just want to get this much done now. Well, I think we're good. Oh, this one still needs a couple. Gotta go here. Come on. Not that I'm not always late for everything, but let's try to minimize that here. Oops. Yeah. 8 and 3. And 4. Alrighty, well, I'll come back to that later. You guys have a great evening and great rest of the week.